That's,
The dawn of a new age.
Oh my god.
Hello, friends. Hello, enemies. Hello, animals. Hello. Who else can I address in this beginning? Well, hello, listener. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to the New Age Comics Podcast. This is your host, Chase Porter. I'm coming at you in weird circumstances, okay? So today is a Monday, as I often usually get to my recording, but it is not infinity o'clock at midnight when I'm recording this, as usual. It is only about 5 p.m. But this recording is going to come with a couple complications because I work at 6, which I think I've done this once or twice before on the podcast where I've been like, hey guys, this is going to be a really short episode. So I'm kind of giving you one of those again. I have about 55 minutes to record. I have to drive there, which is going to be like 15 extra minutes. If you follow me on Twitter, there's a little plug for my Twitter. I can start getting some of this out of the way. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have saw that where I'm living at, it snowed like a motherfucker today. There is, I'm not even kidding, 8 to 10 inches of snow on the ground. Isn't that fucking absurd? Like 8 to 10 inches. I know some of you listening to this may live in a place where you never see snow. But on the flip side of that coin, some of you might live in a place where snow is like the only thing that you ever see. So if you live in Alaska, shout out to you. I'm pretty sure that's the only person who actually sees snow 24/7. Okay. Before I spread any more fake news about meteorology, I'm going to get into the podcast today. Like I said, short episode. Couple more weird things about this episode. This is going to be my first literally not scripted podcast. Like I've mentioned the script here and there before, but I've never actually walked into a podcast with absolutely nothing prepared. And that's how I'm walking into this one. And you may ask, okay, well, you just rank them. Don't pat yourself too hard on the back there, buddy. You just rank the damn comics. I could do that. Well, yes. Okay, you're right. That's all I do. But I'm actually not going to be ranking any comics today. I'm kind of switching up my whole format. This comes at the end of, I don't know, quite a bit of, I guess, just like thought on my part. I kind of don't care for the old format of the show, which sucks. I'm on here saying, well, I don't really care for my own show. Well, sometimes that's just kind of how it works. I've had to come to that point a few times with this podcast, and I think that's just a staple of, I guess, creative endeavors. You're going to make a decision that you think is cool at the time, and a month later, 2 months later, you're going to be like, I could do better. And that's kind of the position I'm coming to. So I think this is something to be celebrated. As the show evolves, the hope is that it reaches a point that is, I don't know, more exciting, cooler. I hope the show only gets better. But now I will get out of my philosophy brain. Enough of that. The way I'm going to be executing this very show is I'm kind of just going to do a little jaunt, is how I would describe it. Just a jaunt through the comics this week. I'm not ranking them. Only thing I'm doing is categorizing them. I'm compartmentalizing them into different little, I don't know, I guess grouplets, right? So, for instance, I pick up, books from publishers. So most publishers will stay together. However, this week is a little unique. I'm going to be doing, it's unique for the first time I'm doing it, but I'm going to be splitting the comics up this way. First of all, I'm going to talk about DC books that are not Future State. Okay, so there's like main, Black Label type stuff. Then I'm going to talk Marvel, and then I'm going to talk Future State books, okay? So sort of like a categories type thing. And I'm just going to kind of talk about them, all right? But of course, I still got the news segment, and I don't know if there's anything else I need to mention. Oh, I forgot to mention this. My last weekly episode was nuts in terms of viewership. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. If you go look on the YouTube video, it hit like 180 something views. Why? I don't know. I can be a little transparent with you guys that it's not because I am an elite podcaster and I created some sort of amazing show there for you guys. Alas, it was not that. It was truthfully because YouTube decided to start just recommending that video like hard. and it got like, you can see how many times it's been viewed. Definitely got viewed more than my sub count would warrant. And it was getting recommended on like the weirdest fucking videos. I was like, why would someone click my video from that? Like they were so strange. Some of them were in different languages. For some reason, a lot of the videos had to do with John Wick 3. I like specifically John Wick 3, not just John Wick. Like there was someone drawing John Wick from John Wick 3. There was like a John Wick 3 breakdown. So I don't know. I guess, shout out to John Wick 3 is a pretty good movie. Don't want to disturb the Keanu Reeves overlords that graced me with all that clout. But hey, I mean, if you listen to the last episode and you decide to stick around and you're new here, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And I don't know, I guess last little thing to plug, if you really like the show, you can leave me a rating on Podchaser. I'll have the link in the description. I'm not even going to rattle off the URL, but if you really like the show, leave me a good rating on there. And hey, the podcast might get curated to somebody else. Why the hell not? So to talk a little bit about the news segment, I guess this can more so be boiled down into maybe like just what's happening in comics right now. What's the thing that's going on? And if you are on any comic circles or any internet circles about comic books, you would have had some of this come across your radar. The Marvel, entertainment Twitter was dropping a ton of these cryptic, strange posters this last week and weekend more so. And all they really told us was it had the banner Heroes Reborn on it, okay? Now, if you that should ring a bell for people, because Heroes Reborn is, I mean, for those who don't know, was a old 90s, I guess I don't really know what you can call it. I guess more of an era. It was sort of an era in the 90s where Marvel, I'm pretty sure, their sales tanked pretty hard. See, now I don't want to be fake news in here. I'm not super knowledgeable of the Heroes Reborn 90s arc, but it was around the time that Marvel wasn't doing good business-wise, and they had a bunch of creators come on and do these like very like strange takes on characters. I mean, it's most infamous for like Rob Liefeld doing Captain America and the very infamous like chest shot that is just nuts. But what it's also known for is just frankly being not very good. And a lot of people were confused, me included, when I saw Marvel sharing all these Heroes Reborn images. And the images were kind of strange. I was tweeting about this all weekend. I'll talk about them. I'll describe a couple of them here, and I'll throw them up on the YouTube video if you're over watching me on YouTube. But we got, I think, like 8 of these things, or 8 or 9. First one was Phil Coulson. You guys know Phil Coulson. He's running for president, I guess, which that one I think intrigued me maybe the most out of all of these. Now, a couple of them, I didn't know, I guess, just what the hell it was supposed to even be referencing. Like one I'm showing here is the like a Hulk one. Well, I mean, now that I kind of start to pick it apart, I see that in the background a planet is like destroyed. I don't know if Hulk's destroying planets. He's just like fighting some monsters, some animal things. I don't really know the deal with this. But then this is maybe the one that drew the most criticism, perhaps, and it's it's someone sitting on the throne. And it's a very amalgamation of some characters. That was a connecting theme throughout this Heroes Reborn teaser images. A lot of them seem to be Marvel characters like mixed, like fused with other Marvel characters. But this one I think is a triplet. And it's Doctor Doom, Juggernaut, and Ultron all together. Juggerdoom, Ultra Von Jugger. I don't know what you'd call him, but he's sitting on the throne. He's got the Doom Knucks, the Doom Knuckle, not tattoos, but like some robot thing. I don't know. Very strange looking. Maybe that one reduced my opinion of what was going on the most. Some of them I just like didn't even know what to make of. Like there's this one shot. I guess it looks like Alpha Flight mixed with I don't even know, these like strange Alpha Flight looking figures. One, Peter is like standing on top of the Daily Bugle taking a picture. I think it's Peter. And I do know who he's taking a picture of. That is Hyperion, or it seems to be, which I will get into that in a second here. One apparently of Reed Richards and somebody else standing in a lab coat. I don't know the deal with that. One of the most interesting ones, Thanos just rocking the gauntlet, rocking the Infinity Stones. I mean, of course, that's going to make everyone kind of be like, huh? Ears perked, all that. And another amalgamation one. This looks like Scarlet Witch. I don't even know. Mixed with, is that Quicksilver? Mixed with Quicksilver? I don't know. So all of those images were getting dropped over the weekend. Marvel fans were lamenting left and right, both ways, I guess you could say. And today, I'm pretty sure, or at least when I woke up, this is the first time I saw this, there was more of a larger announcement surrounding it dropped, and it was a trailer, like a video trailer, which I thought was actually very well done, very interesting. Quote tweeted it and everything. Pretty much what it is, it was like a comic trailer, where they just take the stills of the art and they animate them a little bit, add some voice acting. I thought it was put together pretty well. And what it shows is the Marvel Universe apparently reimagined without the Avengers. And it's specifically Blade, who is our narrator here, and he is saying he wakes up in this world without the Avengers, as if they never existed. I don't know who they got to voice act Blade, but I thought it was a great casting. And not only are the Avengers kaput, apparently it's like time is altered where Cap never, he died in World War II. What else? Thor never picked up the hammer. Captain Marvel never became a captain. All of that. And the weird thing is the Squadron Supreme, y'all know the Squadron Supreme, they are appeared to be, I guess, the new Avengers. So this is like a flipped world where the Squadron Supreme has kind of taken over and are that new good shit. Now, this came with a splash page announced with it as well, with pretty much our Squadron Supreme fighting all of those kind of amalgamation things that I had mentioned a little earlier. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about now. So Squadron Supreme, you guys know them, essentially the Seven, right? They're a fucked up Justice League. Recently, they have been more so incorporated. Oh, and here's the creative teams of this event, I guess. So I'll get into that. But it's Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness. So they have been working on the flagship Avengers title for Marvel these, I guess, past two something years. And the Squadron Supreme, specifically with Coulson involved, who I said is running for president, they have been a mainstay in this whole Marvel run, which, I mean, I'm quite liking. I'm actually going to talk about it later in the show. And, Aaron's been setting up hundreds, I don't know, that's an exaggeration, but he's been setting up dummy villains. Just every arc, new villain set up, new something set up. No arc has had like a true ending, if you know what I mean. Like no arc has truly left us like complete. It's all been teased for something else later. And this seems to be maybe the big buildup. I mean, there's a couple more things that they're kind of leaving out here. Some things I'll get into a little bit later. But I also must mention that on this little splash page that I will be showing is Mephisto in the little right-hand corner. Obviously, that's super significant. So clearly, this is going to be about the Avengers run that's going on at Marvel right now. I engaged with some of y'all earlier today on Twitter, kind of just chatting about it, wondering what the hell is this going to be? Is this just a new Avengers arc? Like, is this essentially Avengers 50 through 55 or something like that? Or is this an event? I don't know, based on a lot of the advertising, it seemed like this was almost going to be a future state style event where they kind of reboot the whole universe just temporarily. Which, if that were the case, I think that would be quite funny. Like Marvel just straight up copying DC on some of their publishing moves. I mean, they've done it in the past. They both kind of do it at the same time. Obviously, Marvel tried to capture some of the DCeased hype. They haven't tried and captured. They have not tried and capture any Black Label hype, which is surprising. But alas, here we are. Heroes Reborn. I mean, it's starting off on I guess you could say a bad foot, just because everyone kind of threw up in their mouth a little bit when they saw the title, because it's so overtly referencing the 90s beloved era, not so beloved era. So I'm excited. I am excited. I think this Heroes Reborn shit is going to be super dope. Essentially, my thoughts wrapped up in my tweet I sent earlier. Detective Blade, hell yes. Thanos stuff with the gauntlet, hell yes. And then, like I said, comic Twitter got its wish granted, where the Squadron Supreme is basically the Seven now. And the rise of the boys in popularity, of course, is helping that. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I think this is going to be really cool. You guys know that I like the Avengers run. So to my question earlier, is this going to be an event? Is this going to be an Avengers arc? You guys know I like the Avengers run. So either way, I'm getting it. And either way, I'm probably going to like it. So now to get into some of the comics that dropped this last week, like I said, I'm splitting them into categories. So first off, I'm talking about all the DC books this week that dropped that weren't future state, a very specific categorization. And that's pretty much just 3 books here. We got Rorschach number 4, Bat and Cat number 2, and DCeased Dead Planet number 7. I thought this was a great haul. If you are reading DC and you're skipping out on the future state shit, you had a good week this last week, because all 3 of these books were minty, my friends. I'm throwing out the ranking system for the moment, but all of these would have contended for number 5. So just to get into quick thoughts about all of them, Rorschach, I thought this book was crazy dope. Tom King, George Fornes, and Dave Stewart, they've been murdering it. The art is, like I said, murderous. Tom King with the story, also amazing. This book does some of my favorite, tropes, you could say. When it comes to, when it comes to Watchmen comics, right? So obviously Tom King, he is making a very bold move adding to the Watchmen verse, because it's a touchy subject, a very touchy subject when it comes to comic fans. And but I think he's doing it really well, because he's of course paying homage to the original book. In this book, in this 4th issue, the way he does that, in my opinion, is he tells a full narrative in one comic, right? So this issue could stand alone. It could stand alone as it tells the full story of this fella that we meet in this comic, which I searched high and low for his name earlier in this book and could not find it. So apologies, but he's this big, strong, bald fella. This whole comic takes place around the Kid, who is a character that's been introduced in this Rorschach run, and this guy, and their early exploits at the carnival, and how the Kid, this girl, kind of mind-fucked this dude into becoming Rorschach. Spoilers are going wide, people. I loved this book. I thought it was awesome. The art did it so many favors, and back to what I was saying with Tom King, he tells the full story narrative of this character we meet in this book. You go through the whole motions with him. And not only that, but then it takes those concepts and uses them to inch the story forward, is how I would put it. Because now we understand that the Kid is linked to whatever conspiracy is going on in this book. If you've been keeping up with it, a Rorschach and this young girl, the Kid, they made an attempt on President-elect Turley's life. Very topical. And I thought this book just did everything right, told me a great story, moved the story forward. It got dark, it got violent. It even it delved into an interesting topic, which was that the Kid, this girl, the Kid, she believes that people are being reincarnated essentially as all of the original, I guess you could say, crime busters, the original cast of the Watchmen team. So I'm talking Dr. Manhattan, Walter Kovac, Rorschach, of course, Night Owl, Silk Spectre, Adrian Veidt, the whole gang. And apparently the Kid is convinced our bald fella here that he was the next Rorschach. So of course that justifies him to do a litany of fucked up things. Of course, he also quotes Rorschach here, the most infamous quote of all, the "I'm not in here with you, you are in here with me," whatever. And lastly, I think this book it just did everything right. It tells us this story. Our detective friend, who we are following throughout this book, he's got a problem on his hands. So moving forward into Batman and Catwoman, another dope ass book. I knew I was going to love this book from the jump, because it's Clayman, who's one of my favorite artists ever, easily one of my favorite artists ever. This book definitely takes the artsier tone. Okay, so the Rorschach book was really dense in terms of, essentially in terms of story, and that's not really what you get here. It's not exactly as dense. There's a lot of artistic moments. Clayman is definitely given room to run, but I think that's how you execute this book, with an artist like Clayman, where his art is so just gorgeous to look at. Like I'd watch him, draw anything. I'd probably pick up anything he draws on. I think that's what you got to do. And it inched the story definitely forward. It did not get into our friend the Phantasm, the villain who I think was just an animated villain, now coming to the comics. Phantasm. I guess I don't know how accurate that is. It didn't really touch into her a whole lot. So it seems that Phantasm's actually going to be maybe the second half of this run. You know what I'm talking about? But I could be wrong. This issue actually focused a lot on sort of this dual timeline thing where it's showing an old Selina talking to an old Joker. Bruce Wayne apparently has died in this future state. Lol. That's just a funny word choice, I guess, there. And what we do learn in this book is that there is going to be a little bit about Joker in the current timeline, in the current state. So yeah, I liked this Batman Catwoman book. It felt like a long time since we got the last issue. So hey, I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to keep reading. Definitely going to be a great hardcover because Tom King, he writes the shit out of them 12-parters. Okay, this was maybe the book I'm most excited to talk about of this bunch. DCeased Dead Planet number 7, the conclusion of DCeased. This book was fucking awesome. Okay, fucking awesome. Tom Taylor is the writer here. Trevor Hairsine is the artist, with a litany of other, I guess, colorists. I should probably do my due diligence and try and find the colorist here. But this book, again, does everything perfectly. Oh, so it's colored by Rain Burrito. So, Bredo, B-R-E-D-O. So, I had to look up where the last book had left off. I think this was a while ago. I think number 6 dropped a good old minute ago. But this book, I think, was the perfect conclusion for a book like this. So, where did we leave off? Everything was fucked. Pretty much everything was fucked. The world was getting flooded by these, I think they're called Amazos. Basically, a robot that can take the whole Justice League on. The world flooded by that. Trigon, the devil, Satan, he came to Earth and was just eradicating everything. And that's what's going on the planet. John Constantine has claimed every single magical item that there is. So he has the Ragman rags. He has the Shazam power. I don't know what all that is. He claims the Helm of Fate and the Amulet of Fate. He also grabs the Spear of Destiny. I think probably some other shit. And this is a great Constantine story. I don't know. That's sort of my step away. Neither of those are right. Takeaway. That's sort of my takeaway from this DCeased Dead Planet book. First of all, I want to say this. If you guys have any friends who you're trying to get into comics, because hey, we're all fighting the good fight out there, trying to get as many people, trying to evangelize these comic books as a real storytelling medium. But maybe that's just me. I think this is a great book to start people on because it's alt universe, right? It's an Elseworld bullshit thing. So they don't need to know anything going into it. And these stories are just really great. They're just super compelling. If they're a fan of Walking Dead, maybe just the show, and they're showing some interest in some DC characters, go buy them DCeased 1, the hardcover. Because these books feel like movies. I'm dead ass. They feel like a movie that I'm watching, just because the writing is so good, the dialogue is so good, and since this is an Elseworld and a zombie story at that, do not get me wrong, people die left and right. Not so much in this book, actually. We get a happy ending here. I almost don't even want to spoil what happens at the end, but a lot of great shit happens, And okay, I'll spoil this though. So maybe my favorite moment of this book and my favorite moment of the run, maybe of the whole DCeased universe, easily, was Constantine's story arc. Constantine's story arc was amazing, people. It started actually in a one-shot. I believe it started in a one-shot in the DCeased first volumes, I guess, era. It was this, I think, one-shot called DCeased, A Good Day to Die, or something like that. That was where Constantine was first introduced, and he ends up, I think, getting tied into the main story via the last issue. It was kind of like a tie-in issue. And he is such a mainstay in this sequel, Dead Planet. And that's because magic gets a lot more involved, which I thought was a great, like, I don't know, logical step just to kind of up the ante a little bit. The first book didn't include much magic, much about the magic verse. But this, even felt like a good extension of what JLD is doing right now, or was doing, because it's all the same characters. So, I don't know, getting into Constantine's story arc, he collects every single magical piece, every single magical thing. And he ends up defeating Trigon, which was absolutely insane the way he did that. And he claimed the Dead Man abilities and Dead Man to Trigon. That was fucking badass. And his last panel, because he dies, Trigon kills him. So again, spoilers. He kills Constantine just like brute force. Constantine traps his body, and then once Trigon dies via the Spear of Destiny, getting into full spoilers, Constantine's last panel, one of those panels that makes you want to like just weep, just a weeper, because it's him fading out of existence, and it's just so well written. It's so well written. They really nail the love connection with him and Z. And this is why I say this is a great book to start people on, because in this book, you get to actually learn a fuck ton. I'm pretty sure this DCeased storyline has taught me a lot about characters that I never would have known shit about. It's hard to come up with a few off the top of my head, but like, for instance, the Amazos in this book, never would have known what the fuck the Amazos were. But here you get to learn all of that. And maybe most importantly, okay, this will be the last thing I say about this book. Most importantly, I think you get to learn what it is about these characters that connects them, right? So you get to learn where their alliances and enemies and friendships lie. And of course, that just all of that plot stuff comes out in a zombie book, right? Because it's like bare survival shit. And to me, that was really informative. Even if I knew that, hey, Green Arrow and Black Canary are like lovers, I knew that, but I never maybe seen it. I haven't read a whole lot of Green Arrow or Black Canary. It's the fact that I had never seen it was just sad. And I wanted to know what it was like. And now I do. So shout out to this book for doing that. It teaches you a lot of good shit, I would say. So a great book to start people on, a great finale for this book. Definitely a great finale. And that is all I have for these non-future state books. So after that, I'm gonna get into some of the Marvel books. So we're saving the future state for the end here. We got about 4 Marvel books here, but there's gonna be a cut here, okay? Because I took way too damn long talking about all that shit. You know me, I do that shit, and I need to go to work. I said I'd work in an hour, and I definitely did not leave myself enough time to probably even scrape my car off. So I'm going to go to work. You will hear me. I don't know when I'm going to end up re-recording this. I'll probably say it, but I'm going to get back into the books once I get back to this microphone.
One eternity later.
Hey everybody, I am back now. So it's almost hard to comprehend the amount of shit that happened between when I just paused it, as I said, to now when I'm coming back at you guys. So, a lot has happened. A lot has happened. Allow me to adjust this microphone really quickly. Oh goodness. Okay, so I last left off saying that I was late to work. So I ended up getting to work. However, I got stuck on my way there. Turns out the city that I'm in experienced and I'm not even exaggerating, a record-breaking amount of snow. It was the most snowfall that my city has experienced in the month of January ever. I'm pretty sure ever. It snowed fucking so much, 14 inches of snow. So I went to work. I was late to work. Luckily, my roommate Trevor, you guys should know Trevor at this point, he was actually working at my job. So he came out and helped unstick me. There was a good Samaritan that came and helped unstick me as well. And funny enough, I got stuck again on my way leaving work. So It's been to say the least, shitty last 24 hours. It's been over 24 hours since I paused the podcast and am now coming back to you. Another new thing. So you may have noticed that there is a slew of new music and new music and new stuff to this show. Well, I just created all of that. That's kind of what I've been doing these last 24 hours. The fact that I reorganized the show, I needed to, accompany it with some new, I refer to it as imaging, which is sort of a radio biz term, essentially just like the sound of the show, if you will. So now it has a cool, fresh sound. I hope you like it. If you like all the new additions, let me know. Tell me in the comments or whatever. You can reach out to me and say, hey, bang up job, bruv. Anyway, so let's move into comics. Like I promised, we're talking about Marvel comics. Marvel had a dope ass week this last week. I picked up 4 books from Marvel. The ones that I grabbed were, of course, King in Black issue number 3, Stegman and Cates, and J.P. Martin. I also picked up X-Force, Benjamin Percy, Kasara, Guru FX, X-Force 16, I should say. And then, of course, the controversial book, Avengers 41, Aaron, Javier Garron, as well as David Curiel. And then lastly, I grabbed the new, and I was so pumped for this, I grabbed the new Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon, issue number 1, written by Larry Hama. Harry Lama? God. I'm sorry for that one. And then David Watchter. So getting into some of these books, King in Black, this book. So I was curious to see how this book would pick up from the last issue's cliffhanger. If you haven't been reading King in Black, what are you doing? But the last issue ended with Eddie Brock, our main protagonist, flatlining literally on the I guess his deathbed at this point. So I was curious to see how this issue would pick up from that. And I think it picked up really well. It seems to be leaving Eddie off in his own run. Sort of the way this event is rolling is we're getting King in Black, obviously, but then Eddie Brock is kind of coming, I don't know, I guess in and out of his own run. His events as Eddie Brock have been mainly actually explored through the Venom tie-ins, ironically, given that this is a Venom event. And so far, we've sort of just seen through the main event, all of our heroes sort of just deal with the fallout of Null, pretty much bringing goddamn death to everything. And this issue, I think, just amped up the fun. It brought a ton of really crazy moments. I actually kind of like where they're going with this. They have placed a lot of emphasis now on Dylan Brock, Eddie's son, which I think is really cool. And they're connecting him to this figure that's getting a lot of talk, around it, which is the King in Light. He's kind of the, I guess, antithesis, the reflection, the other side of Null, who is the king, of course, in black. Which is cool. We've been getting teased this here and there. The theorists out there, shout out to y'all, have been pretty much uncovered. You've pretty much uncovered all that Donny Cates is going to write for the rest of his Venom run. And we're getting a direct connection between Dylan, the King in Light. A lot of the narration in this book is talked, or surrounded, I should say, around this King in Light figure. But then not only that, we get to see Null flex against Thor, who comes out in this book, who is his own King in Light, you could say. Thor leaves him a good old hammer krakum doom on the chin. Pretty nuts. Thor does get impaled here. We'll see how that kind of turns out. And then Iron Man does some amazing Rock'em Sock'em Robot reference, taking over Celestial, which is sweet. And of course, I can't not bring up that ending with Silver Surfer Black. Got everybody rereading Silver Surfer Black. Let me know what you find. There's so many references throughout all of Kate's books that it wouldn't shock me if he basically had spoiled King in Black already in that 5-parter. So great book. Moving on to X-Force issue number 16. I have sort of been stepping away from the X verse ever since X of Swords ended. I maybe got a little X fatigue. I don't know what to tell you. But X-Force was always a book that I loved. Benjamin Percy is doing an amazing job writing it. And how am I not going to love it? It features my favorite X character, Beast. And Benjamin Percy is probably doing my favorite thing done with Beast that I know of, which is make him full espionage Black Ops villain at this point. Just no morality, all logic when it comes to Beast, which is just sweet. But as for this issue, it's pretty cool. I saw some people saying that it was a little bit filler-y. I kind of agree. But you never know. You never know if something's getting set up here. Our squad, which is just Forage, Wolverine, and Quentin Quire of all people, they go on this little below water exploration around this, I don't know, a god is seemingly what Wolverine kind of is setting up here, which is a really cool setup. So it's not, we can't count it out already and call it filler because we don't know if it's going to be filler. But Namor shows up at the end here, which was pretty cool. So, hey, can't wait to see where this goes next. It's pretty much the only X book that I'm picking up other than the main X series. Sorry to all my X fans out there, but, it is what it is. A man's got to, have a limit, right? Because I'm picking up a lot of books every week. So speaking of, this is probably the most controversial book coming out right now. I'll devote a little time to this one. Avengers, issue number 41, Enter the Phoenix, part 2. So I don't know, this arc, this new Avengers arc by Jason Aaron on his seminal Avengers run, all those empty platitudes, it's been getting mixed reviews. Pretty much everything Aaron is doing at the moment is getting a little bit of a mixed reaction. And, it makes sense. I mean, he's definitely writing I don't know how to put it, a certain type of Avengers run. He's writing, I always refer to it as arcy, not like as if there is an arch, right, or an arc, but each story is told in one concrete arc, and you can kind of step away and leave that arc by itself. It can be its own thing. Of course, there are little details scattered throughout the entire run. That's just what kind of glues the run together. But each arc is sort of its own thing, and I kind of respect that. I kind of like that, I have had my own gripes, you could say, with Aaron's Avengers here and there. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I'm not the biggest fan of it. Weirdly enough, I did not care for the Age of Khonshu arc that just sort of passed. However, I loved well, first of all, I am really enjoying Enter the Phoenix. I will get that out of the way. But then, I really liked the vampire stuff that was going on. I thought the Starbrand arc was all right. A lot of the BC Avengers is pretty dope. So anyway, getting into Enter the Phoenix part 2, this second part, I think, is just sort of, I don't know, giving us I guess I can see why some people don't care for this. Maybe I'll put it that way. I thought this was fine, but I can definitely understand how some people might say, this is kind of just a little, I guess that it's overachieving, you could say. It's trying to do just way too much. I could certainly see that. And, maybe I'll allow that critique for this issue alone, because it really does pretty much do everything. So the last book ended, there's this gauntlet going on for the Phoenix. It showed us a bunch of characters that, perhaps could get the Phoenix. I guess they were in the White Room, which is this whole Phoenix lore thing. And in this book, we pretty much get to see every single one of them get powered up by the Phoenix. It made a really cool sequence, right? Because each page you turn, you get a little fight between two Phoenix-powered heroes that have never been Phoenix-powered before. It's pretty sweet, but I can understand why some people maybe are like, this is a little extra, this is a little much. Some people I think are a little purist-y about who can wield the Phoenix and who cannot, which, hey, I get it a little bit. I'm not the biggest comic book purist. I'll get that out of the way. So I didn't mind it, but I'm excited to keep seeing where this is going. The ending left off pretty cool. We got to see, all the people that I said I really wanted to see get Phoenixified. They got Phoenixified. I probably liked the Shang-Chi appearance the most because Shang-Chi just was unaffected. Like he didn't give a shit. And then I have to actually mention this one too. R.I.P. Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck looks like he got whacked by the Red Widow. Is Aaron setting up something there? Could be. Could not be. Moving into Iron Fist. This is probably, I have to say, my favorite book of the week. Iron Fist number 1. If you follow me on Twitter, you knew this already. This book was amazing. I loved this book from head to toe. I don't even know where to start with it. The art is amazing. David Watcher, or is it Watcher or Watcher? I don't know. Apparently he has done his time on TMNT, the IDW series, which I can absolutely see. And I thought was awesome. It's like he's already kind of worked with Kung Fu ninjas and all of that. And another great thing about this book, though, is it really delves into some of the Iron Fist lore that I think is kind of slept on. Iron Fist has some really rich backstory. All the details surrounding Kung Lung, very mysterious, very interesting. And we get to see a lot of that here. Larry Hama, it is Larry Hama. He handles all of that lore like a beast. You know, he probably did a lot of homework before writing this run. And it's apparent here because he pretty much includes, I think, like every Iron Fist, every facet of the Iron Fist mythos that you can even think of. Luke Cage plays an integral role in this book, which was 100% my favorite part. We also get to see Pei, P-E-I. She's, you guys might know her. She's one of the inheritance, the next Iron Fist, you know what I mean? And then it even starts delving into some of the other heavenly cities. This is some deep cut Iron Fist shit. But hey, I'm a huge Iron Fist fan, if that wasn't clear. And we get to see, I think, what was it? Dog Warrior is his name. Dog Warrior shows up, which was cool. We see Lady Death, or no, I almost said Lady Deathstrike, who is a character. We get to see Lady Bullseye. Very, very cool. And then, Beautiful Tiger's daughter. Excuse me. These names are very strange. We get to see her at the end. Something's wrong. We're also getting more Kung Lung stuff with the dragons. I mean, this run has an amazing start. It has everything you would want as an Iron Fist fan, which is exactly what I am. It's delving into some Kung Lung lore. It's bringing in all the supporting cast, literally all the supporting cast. So if you've pretty much read any Iron Fist runs, or you watch the Netflix show, begrudgingly, of course, because it wasn't that swell, give this run a shot. I think it'll show you why you shouldn't shit on the show as much, and definitely teach you that you need to put some respect on Danny's name. So with everything else that we got this week, we got a fuck ton of future state books. DC has sort of, I guess you could say they've split up their publishing line a little bit, but they've really just rebooted it. They've rebooted all the main canon DC shit, and now it's all future state. I'm sure you all know this, but of course, like in my previous segment, they aren't all future state, but we got a lot of future state books this week, me included. I got 4 books, and I gotta say, y'all, I got some problems. I got some problems with future state. They're small problems, maybe. I'll just get into it. So first, moving into the next Batman, I picked up the next Batman number 2. There's just a huge creative team on this. Now, my problem with future state and sort of with this next Batman run specifically, and even getting into another future state book this week, which, hey, fuck it, I'll just break the little chain I'm doing here. I have the same critique about Superman Worlds. I'm looking over at the comic to make sure I get the title right, but Superman Worlds of War. I like these books. I think they have some potential, but unfortunately, I think there's one story in these books that is sort of making you purchase it. You know what I mean? And I almost hate saying it because I'm the first guy to be like, fuck yes, obscure characters. I personally love obscure characters. I think that's what makes the DC and Marvel universe so fun. We all have those semi-obscure characters that we all sort of cling to, and we always cling to them harder than we do maybe like someone who like Batman. You know what I mean? Like Batman's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not saying Batman's my favorite hero. Hell no. I'm saying Dr. Fate if I'm going DC. But there's some characters that I think are, I don't know, there's a level of obscurity where it's like you have to sell me on it a little bit. And the thing is, I don't feel like I was sold on the back matter here of this next Batman book. I liked the first story by John Ridley, the next Batman. I think the next Batman is strong. One problem I do have that with this installment of the next Batman number 2 of 4, we're getting 4 of these, it didn't feel like it really connected a lot to the first book, to the events of the first book, which it doesn't have to. I'm all for also like one-shot anthology style type books, but they should connect a little bit, And in fairness, there was a little bit of connection, but it's really only because they teased the last book in the last page here. The adventures are completely separate. They actually don't even really mention a whole lot to do with, I guess with the events of the first story, with the whole Bane gang and everything. I don't know. I found all that stuff really interesting, and so I was excited to see it revisited in the next book, which we didn't get here. I mean, I'm okay with that. I also did not care for the switch up in art. I didn't hate the art here, don't get me wrong. I think the artist, who is Laura Braga, I think she did a great job. I mean, her art's not bad, but I love Nick Derington. Like, I can't front. I'm a little biased for Nick Derington. He's one of my favorite DC artists right now. So I was kind of sad to get that maybe a little, I don't know, I felt like a little blue ball, you know? But the part that I think I have the problem with, so I liked this the next Batman. However, I'm like holding it in my hands. The next Batman is like literally a third of this big book. You know what I mean? So it sucks to be like, I didn't care for this next Batman book because I really did like the quote next Batman portion. But we get two, I guess they're their own comics essentially. And we get two more at the end of this book, which is the Batgirls book and the Gotham City Sirens. The Batgirls book, I mean, I thought it was okay, but it was kind of a drag to get through. I liked these Batgirls. I thought it was an interesting situation that they were put in, being in jail. It was interesting, but I mean, the whole time I felt a little confused because it felt like we were honestly thrown into the middle of a story that was already going on. And I'm okay with that. You know, we're only getting 2 installments of Batgirls and 2 installments of Gotham City Sirens. So, of course, the story is going to be crunched. But I don't know. I guess I feel like they should have went with quality over quantity here. I would have picked up this next Batman book, and if it was $8, if it was just the next Batman, if it was just about Luke Fox, or not Luke Fox, Tim Fox, or Jace Fox, I don't know what the whole deal is with that. I would have gladly bought that, you know. And even if they worked the Batgirls and they worked the Gotham City Sirens, if they had worked them into the story, I'm all here for that. Oh no, there's someone chugging in the snow outside. I hope that doesn't pick up. But I mean, as for this Gotham City Sirens book, what the hell was this about? I don't even know what was going on here. And you know, so I'll close the chapter on the next Batman, but I'll use this as kind of a nice segue into another book that came out this week, another Future State book, Catwoman. So I picked up Catwoman on creative team, sort of alone, because Ram V and Odo Schmidt were working on it. Ram V being the writer, Odo Schmidt doing the art. I love Odo Schmidt. Odo Schmidt's great. I'm always here for some Ram V. And I won't lie, I really did like this Catwoman book. However, I have one critique of it, and this is maybe more of a critique of Future State in general. It seems really, I don't know. It seems really disconnected and kind of, what's the right word for it? Like discombobulated. It seems really discombobulated for being a coordinated full DC line reboot. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, and I bring this up in context of Catwoman for a reason. All the characters in the DC universe at this point, they're in like every single one of these Future State books, which I don't mind, obviously. You know, that's the big meme, is like Batman can be in every goddamn DC book at the same time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he can. But I have a limit, and I feel like this Future State arc, since it's only 2 months, you know, we're only getting 2 issues of some of these series. We're only getting 4 of others. I think they should have really paid close attention to where characters were allocated. Because, I mean, Bruce was... I mean, getting into spoilers here. Catwoman, it was a good book. It's a perfect heist book. You know what I mean? She has to steal something off of a train. And what we learn is that what she's after is like a cryogenically frozen Bruce Wayne. And I'm okay with that. I like that as a story. But then what the hell is Dark Detective? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's like I like that concept, but I'm led to believe that Batman is believed to be dead at the moment. You know, like the fact that Future State is so concise, I feel like it should have really leaned into a stronger sense of connectedness. I feel the same critique about a Future State book as well this week that I really liked, which was Nightwing. Future State Nightwing dropped, and I loved it. This maybe was my favorite of the week. But then there's a part of me that feels weird saying that, because when it comes to some of these like next Batman type situations where there are these huge $8 books or just like the Superman book, it feels unfair pinning the next Batman up against, let's say, Catwoman. Because if I had to pick which I liked more, I would certainly take Catwoman over the next Batman, because I mean there was just less filler BS in it. It was only a $4 book compared to an $8 book. But that's the thing. I feel like, unfortunately, DC's watering down a few of their best titles. So the next Batman being one of them. The Superman Worlds of War, I felt the exact same way about. And so the only reason I'm going on this aside is because when I say I thought Nightwing was maybe my favorite book this week, it's not exactly fair, because I really, my true favorite moment of Future State this week was the Superman Future State mini, I guess you could say. It's the same situation as the next Batman, where the first chunk of the book is occupied by Clark Kent and the rest is occupied by some other stories. I'll get into that book last. But as for this Nightwing book, standalone wise, I thought this was maybe the strongest book this week. And this one actually kind of shocked me a little bit. I really like the direction that they took Nightwing, where they put the weight of Gotham on his shoulders, which I thought was a really cool touch. I think it's neat that the idea that Batman is gone has placed the role of protector of Gotham. I mean, obviously it's become a police state at this point, but in terms of like head vigilante, it's placed that up in the air. And I think it's neat that we get to see sort of the power struggle for that a little bit, sort of like the battle for the cowl type situation. Dick, he is fighting the good fight. He's fighting against the police state and everything. And he gets wrapped up in a whole debacle with the next Batman, which I really genuinely liked their chemistry. I thought Tim Fox, or is it Tim Fox? Yes, Tim Fox. I thought Tim Fox and Dick Grayson's chemistry was actually really good. Especially, Nightwing's going to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder, given that he sort of probably thinks that he should become the next Batman. Now, they didn't nail down that plot point a whole lot in this book, which is okay. We didn't need to. But I think it's like an underlying dynamic that is really interesting. Like, it's interesting to watch Tim and Dick work together, because it's like, hey, they're both kind of Batman. But I thought this Nightwing book had probably some of the strongest moments this week. It had some great action in the beginning. It linked up with Tim, which was a great connection, and a connection that feels continuous, because it has to deal with the fact that Bruce is gone and how they are sort of the only ones left. But then, see, all of that feels like it gets thrown out the window a little bit with what's going on in Catwoman. And not to mention that this book feels like what's going on in the next Batman gets thrown out the window a little bit too, because I don't know, it's just, I can only take them being in so many places at so many times. But last thing to shout out here, Dick has a pretty powerful moment while he's in the Batcave taking a shower, just kind of thinking about, simpler times when Alfred was around and all of that shit. So, I mean, honestly, I think Nightwing has the best bang for your buck this week. But let's get into the last book this week, and this will be the last book I talk about on the show. Superman Worlds of War. I was really excited for this book this week. I won't front for one main reason. This is the beginning of Philip Kennedy Johnson, PKJ for short. This is the beginning of his Superman run, in a sense, where PKJ is going to be picking up the Superman run and the Action Comics run where Bendis left off, which was on, issue 29 and issue 1029. Yeah. So he's picking up on 29 and 1029 come March. However, he's writing Worlds of War, this first little Superman mini. I mean, it's like, it's the size of one comic. You know what I mean? It's the size of a $4 book, but it's tied together with two other $4 sized books, if you know what I mean. So sort of three parts. And the first part, written by PKJ about Superman, I thought was great. I thought it was actually probably one of the strongest, moments of the week. You know what I mean? I won't front, the beginning dragged a little bit with this girl going to Smallville and them kind of talking about, oh, where Superman's gone. It dragged a little bit, but I liked it because it set up, I think, a lot of the emotional appeal in Superman's gone, where the fuck did he go? And I guess I should be a little more generous here. Future State did one good, tie-in crossover thing, which was in this book, when some guy in this crowd, when they're talking about Superman being gone, he talks about how he's from Metropolis, and he references the events of the Superman book, Superman of Metropolis, with John Kent. He references the events of that book. I thought that was a nice touch. That made me feel happy that I picked up Superman of Metropolis. That is what tie-ins should make you feel, if that makes sense. But as for like where this does leave off Superman, great. Like such an exciting ending. And that's sort of the thing. I would have like jumped head over heels to buy an $8 book of just the Superman story. So, I mean, that's a good thing. You know, I mean, in that sense, I'm very excited for Superman by PKJ coming up this March. So in that sense, I have nothing but good stuff to say about it. I mean, it looks badass. It looks like Superman Clark is in an arena, and he's like in a cage. Has a sword and a shield. He's like protecting this guy. It was just great. Like I thought it was a perfect little Superman tease. So 100%. Like if you got to pick up a Future State book this week, definitely Worlds of War, just for that Superman part. Well, that's not it though. We get, and I'll go back to a little more Future State ranting here. We get two more little asides. We get a really thin Mr. Miracle book, and then we finish it off with a much thicker Midnighter book at the end of this here. Well, I guess, sorry, there's 4. Jesus Christ, there's 4 in this book. Now, kind of breaking them all down, the Mr. Miracle book, I thought was great. I mean, well, I should say, I thought was good. Mr. Miracle, it's a new Mr. Miracle guy. Getting to know him is pretty cool. But right when I give DC a compliment for being synchronous, they throw another non-synchronous one at me where it literally has an asterisk. This is a little ridiculous if you ask me. There's an asterisk in this Mr. Miracle book where it says that it takes place after the events of Superman of Metropolis #2, which had a Mr. Miracle story in it. But it's like that, it hasn't came out yet. What the hell? How are we supposed to even know what the events of that book are? I don't know. I guess that just felt like we were supposed to know what happened after the second issue of that. Maybe we weren't. That's just the thing. I mean, I felt a little confused leaving it. And I mean, I won't lie, the story was good, but it wasn't great or anything. So I don't know. I mean, I cared for the Mr. Miracle stuff, but at the end of the day, it wasn't the strongest story. However, I have to say this. This was a sleeper one. The Midnighter Future State book. Wow. I really liked this. This came out of nowhere for me. Midnighter is fucking awesome. I'm sure you guys are laughing because you're like, well, of course he's fucking awesome. I had never read a Midnighter book before. I was seriously blown away. He is so violent. He uses guns, which is sweet. He is just a badass. I mean, he doesn't give a shit about anything. So this book was great. And I thought it had a good plot with it too, where he was being led along by this voice in this box thing, and didn't even know what the fuck it was trying to get him to do. So, I mean, I thought that was a great little a story in there. Had a lot of blood in it. And the ending, I think it teased Apollo, which is his significant other in the comics. So that's pretty cool. As someone who doesn't know a lot about Midnighter, I'm excited to see where that goes. But as for this last story here, the the Black Racer. I mean, what was I supposed to know what was happening here? I had no fucking idea. It was a really short story, like 6 or 7 pages. It just showed this girl wake up in this factory protein synthesizing place, and then she's trying to break out. And I mean, that's it. Don't get me wrong. If you liked Black Racer, I mean, sweet. That's awesome. I hope you enjoyed that little mini. But I guess as someone who has no idea who that is, I'm like, I guess I'm just asking myself, like, why do I care? And it sounds harsh. Like, I'm not trying to shit on the comics or the creators at all. I guess I'm just like, I don't understand what exactly this is. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sound like those fucking people that sit around and complain about DC and Marvel all day, because it's not that deep, you know. But if I'm picking up these humongous $8 books, I would at least like if all the stories felt like epic, like, you know, because that Superman book was 4 different stories, right? When I'm saying I would have loved if it was all just the one Superman one. I don't know. I'm not saying that it has to be, but I guess I'm just saying that sometimes not all the stories are great. So in terms of like how is Future State, I think it definitely has that to struggle with, which is okay. You know, it's a short 2-month event. Of course, it's not all going to be awesome. I'm picking up all the books anyway. You know what I mean? So I guess that's just what y'all come here for, to hear what I think about these books. So in terms of Future State, there were some hits this week. There were some snubs this week. But overall, I think it's progressing pretty well and creating at least something exciting. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be saying like, oh, these are missed opportunities if I didn't at least see the potential in Future State and enjoy a lot of the books. So absolutely check out these Future State books if they sound interesting.
Well, this was fun. Until next time.
And so that's all I really have to talk about this week for comics that dropped last week. And yeah, that's kind of just the rub. This episode is coming out very late. You will pretty much be listening to this by the time that the comics I am about to plug are already out. So apologies for that. But hey, redoing the entire show and reworking all the sounds and all that, it takes a lot of work. And especially working on the video.
It takes a lot of time to even figure out what the hell I'm doing. Because frankly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But these are the comics coming out next week. I am pretty excited for a good grip of these. In terms of Marvel, what we're getting a very hyped comic. Daredevil issue number 26. Holy shit, 25 like broke the goddamn internet, it felt like. So I'm super pumped to read that. We're also getting King in Black Namor. I skipped out on the second issue, so I probably will not be picking up issue number 3, but hey, putting it on your radar if that is a book that you have been interested in. And another King in Black tie-in, and I'm very excited for this one. We're getting Savage Avengers issue number 17. I just want to see Conan fight symbiotes. That's all. That's all I wanted to see. All right, Marvel. And they're granting me my wish. And we're also getting the finale of Shang-Chi with issue number 5. It's been a great run. I can't wait to see how it wraps up. And then on the mutant side of DC, or DC, Jesus, for Marvel, we're getting Wolverine issue number 9 with an amazing cover. Holy shit. And then X-Men number 17. Wow. I mean, it felt like just the other day that I was talking about an X-Men book. So that is very exciting. In terms of DC, the books we are getting this week, we are getting a non-Future State book, which is Batman Black and White issue number 2. I will probably be picking that one up because David Aja does a story in this one, which I've been looking forward to for quite some time. So pretty excited for that. As far as non-Future State goes as well, we're getting Batman White Knight Presents Harley Quinn issue number 4. It's just a 6-parter, so we're in the latter half. It's kind of wrapping up. And I'm kind of excited. And as far as Future State books go, of course, I couldn't get away without listing off at least a few of them here. We are getting, oh man, it looks like I'm only getting one Future State book. I'm skipping out on a good handful of these. Sorry, fellas. But I am grabbing oh man, I'm hyped for this. The Future State Dark Detective issue number 2. I fucking loved the first issue. Cannot wait for that. It's going to be hopefully great. You know, maybe I'll pick up the Future State Superman versus Imperious Lex. Maybe I'll grab that. We'll see. I might cave tomorrow. But I'm also grabbing Strange Adventures issue number 8. Back on the non-Future State shit. God damn, Strange Adventures has been so amazing. Tom King killing the 12-parters. And then on the indie tip from Image, we're getting Department of Truth issue number 5. God damn, Department of Truth is always super fun. I mean, shit, I guess I should retract that. It's not always super fun. It is always very good. It's very enthralling. It's very stimulating, but it's sometimes not fun at all. And then lastly, on the indie tip, we are getting Exo Manowar issue number 4 by Valiant Comics. And I am excited for that as well. So that is all I have for you guys this week. Wow, this was a crazy week in the podcast history, I guess you could say. So I hope a lot of you, I guess, made it here, you know, to this little end point and enjoyed my jaunt through comics as I described it. Let me know what you think of the new format of the show. It's a little interesting. I'm tweaking it. I'm trying things out, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for putting up with me, guys. And thanks for just watching the show evolve. It's got to feel cool, maybe. I hope it does. A couple things to plug before I get out of here. Of course, please like, share, subscribe. Do all the stuff. Do anything that you would like to do to help out the show. It means the world to me. If you have been watching WandaVision, you're in luck. I have a WandaVision podcast. It's on this channel or wherever you're listening to me at. It is called WanViz, and I do it with my roommate Trevor, who is a hoot to talk to. So that is pretty much all I got for you guys. If you really like the show, of course, like I said in the beginning, leave me a rating on Podchaser. The link is in the description, but that is really all I have. Really. So me and Trevor are about to go watch a little bit of Mandalorian and drink some pina coladas. So you might see me on Twitter, you might not. You're going to be listening to this after the fact. So hello from the past into the future. Jesus Christ. I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful one and read some comics. Later.